Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in Palm Beach County. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Indo Board, and Lotus Trips for travel and retreats to Palm Beach County. Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones. I'm hanging out in Media Zone on Singer Island, sitting next to my co-host here, Dr. James Spencer. How are you doing today, Spence?
Another beautiful day out here in South Florida.
Yes, it is. And we are very fortunate because we have a special guest on the show today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. John, our man from Hopportunities. Welcome, bro.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Having my first White Claw is amazing. Amazing experience.
Yeah, I know. This is a bit of a drinking podcast, so...
Fit right in.
I know that White Claw, we're still waiting on the final sponsorship signature on the document, but it's in the works. Yeah. And now we've heard a little bit about Swell as well.
Yeah, Swell out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Don't sleep on them. All you seltzer drinkers.
But John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We love the concept that you have. There's a lot of really cool things that you're doing differently from a traditional brewery. Or not a brewery, but just a place to go and get a beer, really. So why don't you kind of tell people about your concept and what you're doing in Delray Beach?
Okay, great. So my name's John Macatangay. I'm the owner, operator, janitor, cashier of Hopportunities. I call ourselves a modern craft beer hall. So when we envisioned creating Hopportunities, I wanted to create a space like they have in Germany, but kind of flip it to make it a little bit more modern, more South Florida. So when you go to a German craft beer hall, you're going to see people working, you're going to see families, you're going to see people drinking, and we wanted to create that same type of environment. Fun, family, dog-friendly place where you can come have a lot of different beer. But the cool thing that we did is we've kind of taken the whole waiting for a beer or waiting for a drink out of the equation. We have a 100% self-serve system. It's kind of like a froyo or like those candy places where you kind of pull the candy out or pour your ice cream and then you pay by the pound. For us, it's pay by the ounce. So you can try as little or as much as you want and spend as little or as much as you want and just kind of enjoy the whole experience.
And I like beer, so this sounds expensive. What's it like to buy like a pint of craft beer?
So it's weird because now it's like almost like wine with craft beer, right? There's so many different styles and so many different costs, but right now, if you walk into our tap room, you can get a craft beer for $3.50 a pint, or you can get a craft beer for $35 a pint. So it really it depends. You can get a really nice crushable Bell's Bell's Official IPA and spend $5, or you can go with a bourbon barrel-aged J. Wakefield Casino Royale Brewery Royale Stout and pay $35. So it just really depends. It's kind of like picking out your wine. Yeah.
And very cool what you were telling us before we went on air is that it's actually, you could just have a sip. You can pour out as much or as little of each beer as you like.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because when you look at the pricing, everything's priced per ounce. So you'll see, 0.257. It even goes out a decimal point on it because we're going to prorate it. If you pour a half ounce, you're only going to pay for a half ounce. If you pour 7.7 ounces, that's what you're going to pay for, and that's what we're going to charge you. We're not going to charge you anything more or less.
I like that because you're not wasting now.
Yeah, there's zero waste. Only when we clean.
Sure. Well, and it's cool because when I go to a craft brewery place, I will often order a flight to try a couple different, double shot size beer samples. And what's really nice is that you're kind of removing the friction of asking a busy bartender, what's this one? Can I try it? Seems like it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, no. So what we kind of do is on the tablet. So if you had to imagine this, if you close your eyes, you'll see a bunch, like a row of tap handles that pour beer. And above each tap handle is a little tablet. We'll say an iPad per se, so you can imagine a little bit better. And on there, you'll see the logo of the beer, the brewery. You'll also see the name of the brewery, where it's from, so you know where this beer was brewed, the style of beer. Is it an IPA, a sour? The alcohol content, the bitterness content, the cost, and there's also a small description of how the flavor of the beer goes.
I love it.
So
Cool.
you kind of have your beer tender or bartender to the next level, because there's no way that you can remember 46 draft lines and what each one tastes like. And not only that, we never tap the same keg twice in our bar. So you can come back
It's gonna be
in
fresh.
a week
Yeah.
and you're going to see a bunch of different beer every time that you come in.
And the one thing too that I'd like you to touch on is the whole back wall of locals.
Okay, cool. So kind of how we have it spread out is we have about 9 taps that are on our wine wall. We have wine, craft root beer right now, and 1 craft seltzer. Then we have a wall of 20. We call it our Florida wall. And it's 20 independent breweries all throughout the state of Florida.
Love it.
So you can drink beer from Key West all the way up to Tallahassee. And we give those breweries their static lines. So you're going to see our local guys, our Civil Societies, Barrel of Monks, our Copper Points. We're just going to rotate the beer behind them. Then we got guys from Dade all the way up to Ology in Tallahassee. So we always are there supporting our small businesses, especially our Florida small businesses, because as a small business owner, I know where that money goes.
Yeah.
I know how important that is. And then we have another wall. It's 26 taps. We have, I think, Pump House Coffee Roasters. They have a static line because we need that from time to time. And
Shout out to Christian and Alex.
Yeah.
thank you guys very much. Side note. So we do the new thing at the bar, since we're talking about Pump House. We have a lot of free time from time to time at the bar that we start mixing beers, call it cuvée in the beer world. And we have this cuvée of the day type deal that we do, and we post it on one of our garage doors. And we would do Pump House with pumpkin spice latte from Three Sons and chai left hand milk stout, a milk stout from Left Hand Brewing out in Colorado. It was like the Starbucks coffee, and then we'd add Pump House to it
With a kick.
Yeah. So it was like our Starbucks beer, we would call it, our Starbucks brew, because it had coffee and 2 other beers part of it.
Alex wants to know that recipe.
Yeah.
Well, even just sitting here watching you smile talking about this, I can tell this is a fun experience, right?
It's
you go
super
here
fun.
and it's an actual experience. You're not just having a beer, you're learning, you're figuring things out, you're trying new things that you maybe never would have tried. Because when you're at the grocery store or something and you see the craft beer section, you got to buy the whole bottle. Maybe you don't want to try the whole bottle of a creamy coffee beer or something. So it's nice that you kind of give the people the option to have a sip, and if they like it, they can fill the whole glass up right after that.
Yeah, that's what I kind of tell people. I'm like, try a little bit of everything, and once you find something, pour half a glass. But that's a really good point, because I think for me, I was telling you guys earlier, I don't have a passion of craft beer. I'd be doing a disservice to those guys that brew beer and then just take it to the next level, whose lives are all about beer. I love craft beer. I'm a huge craft beer fan. I love drinking it. I know a lot about it. But I think one of the reasons why, I love Hopportunities, we get to bring that experience. We get to get people to try things. And that's that's the epitome. I love trying different things, whether it be food, beer, drinks, athletically, just I kind of like pushing boundaries and trying all sorts of different things. And that's what you can kind of do at Hopportunities, is just try a little bit of everything.
And I know you've talked a little bit about wanting it to be event centric. You got runners nights, there's board games, there's karaoke, there's bingo. Talk a little bit about what you're trying to do in the community to create a place to come and hang out.
So I think that's kind of, we've kind of hit an arc in the craft beer scene. Excuse me.
Get it out.
Get
As
it
you
out.
burp out some craft seltzer.
Craft White Claw over here. And originally, I think a lot of breweries did a lot of events to get people in to their breweries to try craft beer, because everything was like a Bud Light, Miller Lite, whatever. So they had to do these things to kind of make some sort of novelty. And then it came to, now we have these great breweries that are all about the beer. And I kind of want to go back to that event-driven space, because I feel like that's kind of where the community aspect goes in, because regardless of how much you love beer, you may love music, you may love running. So what we want to be is we want to be an event-driven space that brings a unique experience to our drinkers. And then you just know when you're going to go in there, you're going to have a craft beer that you love and you like, and the quality is going to be great. So yeah, during the week, we got Tuesdays trivia and run club, Wednesdays music bingo. We do half off wine, and we are now doing like a half off like 5 different beers, like a kick the keg special.
Love it.
Thursday is Liquid Courage Karaoke. That's my favorite night, everyone. We discount all the high alcohol content beers to make that karaoke night go a little bit smoother.
Extra special.
So Wine Wednesdays, huh?
Wine Wednesdays, half off all wine. Yeah.
So you guys out there in the audience, you hear that? You got to take your missus out for Wine Wednesday.
Little Delray Beach.
Hey.
Or Mrs. Take the guys out.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, we like that. And, you've talked a little bit about your wife, and just, tell us about her and how she's supporting you in the business. And
I can't imagine accomplishing anything great without the support of your significant other. And that place, the Hopportunities, actually a space that, to a degree, I created for her. I feel like as a guy, we love our beer. We can drink it almost anywhere. That's why there are so many great dive bars around.
Right.
But sometimes creating a conducive space for our significant others is kind of important. So when designing Opportunities, I had her at the front end. I wanted to create a space where she would be comfortable going to. I drag her to so many different breweries, and some places she loves, some places aren't her speed.
she's
bathroom wise,
She's a trooper.
or just ambiance wise. So we created a space that's kind of light, bright. It's very fun, and it was very, very much with her in mind when putting it together.
And we'll talk about the bathrooms too, because that's important. We talked about that earlier.
So literally,
Got to.
I'm taking full credit for designing the women's room.
Attaboy.
I am. Like, I legitimately, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this space just so ideal. It's a beautiful space. Like, when women come out and they say, "Who designed your bathroom?" That's like the biggest compliment I can get. I have it
Ear to ear smile.
I have like this glass mosaics in front of this like bubblegum pink painted walls with all this different artwork in there. We have it fully stocked with dry shampoos, feminine products, hair bands.
Yeah.
Like I said, just making a space that's conducive to everyone, because most breweries and bars are built for guys. Let's be honest. It's just how the brew scene is. It doesn't make it right. It's just kind of is what it is. So we wanted to create a space that is conducive for everyone.
Well, if you can bring your puppy and your girlfriend and have, wine on tap, coffee on tap, you create something that's more than just having a beer at that
Correct.
point. You're hanging out.
On the weekends during the day, you're going to see families in there. Like like that call, like 2:00 on a Saturday, like the stroller mafia pulls in and you just see like 5 or 6 strollers pulling in the parking lot. We have craft soda in there. We have plans to turn one of the rooms into a kids play area.
Super
Video
cool.
games, bean bags, just stuff to, like a brewery. Breweries are for the most part, kid friendly. Now, you don't want to bring your kid in like 9, 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, but
not a good idea.
And it's, if you're strolling the Ave, and you're doing some shopping, you have
inviting.
some food, it's a nice thing. You break it up, have a beer, get in some AC, use a nice bathroom.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, for us, I think we're just far enough from the avenue where it's almost like a little island away. So if you want to get away, especially for a lot of our locals, if you want to experience something that's not terribly busy,
Sure.
Or not full of this time of year, non-locals, it's a spot where we see a lot of our local friends, a lot of our community, a lot of the people that you'll see at Publix or at your school. That's where you're going to find them. Whereas sometimes, as much as there's small little village by the sea, most Delrayans like to call it. It's not really that anymore. It's definitely a go-to spot for a lot of people from all over the country, all over the world.
It's cool too to see, like, even where you're at, the growth in that area from when I first moved here to really everything's starting to just expand, whether it's north and south of the Ave.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pineapple Grove is going to be a little beast of its own. They have a new hotel going up, a ton of great restaurants, and we're a football throw away from that area. So it's going to bridge over here in the not too distant future. A lot of developments going up. I think Delray is very progressive on trying to keep its natural charm, but at the same time, everyone needs to grow.
So speaking of that, what's some other places in the area that you like to go to whether hospitality or not? What's some things you like to do in Palm Beach County?
God, I'm married to my businesses. As I told you guys, I'm an insurance agent. I own an insurance agency. Never thought I would be in the hospitality world. Most people at some point, most guys think about owning a bar at one point, and I decided to do it. So I'm kind of married to the job right now. A couple cool things outside of the bar. We just joined the Craft Collective,
Talk about
which
that.
is a pretty cool dinner club that the guys over at Craft Food Tours started in Delray. So twice a month, for a small fee, you can go have a curated dinner with drinks, like a 4-course meal with drinks. And it's something they host. The chefs come out, they talk to you. They're like little comment cards, but you just get to meet a lot of cool people that like to eat and drink. So, it's a really tough thing to do.
Sounds like no fun.
It's terrible, but at the same time, it brought me, we went to the Rebel House in Boca. That was our first experience doing this Craft Collective deal. And it was just amazing. They put together a 4-course meal. They paired it with Funky Buddha beer. And they did stuff that was on the menu, stuff that was off the menu. And, I definitely would recommend joining the collective, or at least taking a craft food tour.
Craft Collective, we're coming after you.
Yeah.
No, man, you should. Those would be great guests. Anthony Guzman and his employee, Matt. It's an inside joke. His partner, Matt. Those guys do a great job with Craft Food Tours in Delray.
Awesome.
And they're all about experience. So they're really really fun to hang out with, and also, like I said, they bring a great product to Delray, and now the Craft Collective, which they're doing, I think, restaurants all over South Florida.
That's awesome. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Rand McNally claimed Delray Beach as best small town in the U.S.
I did know that. It's also always back and forth on one of the best beach towns. It's a great little city.
It is, man. I love it.
It really is. It's the closest thing that you're going to get to a walkable city, I think, in Florida.
Correct.
Maybe Las Olas, but I still feel as though it's kind of
too busy.
Exactly. But in Delray, you can easily walk to the supermarket, to the drugstore, local drugstores like Delray Shores Family, which Delray Shores Pharmacy, which also has a really great craft beer selection if you need packaged, if you're in that area.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And just all little events. It seems like there's always something going on every weekend somewhere. So it's pretty cool. And not to sleep on, there's a pretty cool music scene going in Delray. Correct. Late night on Saturdays, you can go to places like Dada's or Third and Third and catch really cool bands.
Well, we also know Stick Figures coming to town in July. A little reggae band from California that'll be on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So
love those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm a brand guy. I'm a graphic designer, photographer, brand person, and I love your logo. So you gotta talk a little bit about the brand, the feeling, the vibe.
I'm gonna be honest with you. So when I decided to open up Hopportunities, I think April 2018 was the race. So that's when it kind of dawned on me we could do this. And I think
we got to come back to the race because I don't think we've hit.
Oh,
on that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So we'll do a quick origin story.
Yeah,
on
let's
how,
do it.
on how Hopportunities got
brand,
started.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So I love doing endurance races. Like I said, I kind of like getting out of my comfort zone, and I was running endurance races for probably about 6 or 7 years. Spartan races, Tough Mudders, ultras, all over. And we did one in April of 2018. It was a 200-mile relay race between 6 people that ran from Long Beach, California, all the way to San Diego.
Yeah.
Did it in
That's a little different than your 5K holiday run.
Yeah, exactly, right?
turkey trot.
I like doing things that people are like, you did what?
Yeah, that's crazy,
that's
dude.
like that's kind of what I kind of enjoy. I don't know why, but it's just kind of my thing. But we finished a race in San Diego. We're leaving. We had some time to kill. I walk into a bar, maybe 1,000 square feet. They had 20 self-serve taps, LED screens, kind of look like little Game Boys that just said the name of the beer and the cost per ounce. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I immediately in my brain, I'm like, I don't have to drive to like 6 different breweries to have all their beers. They have them all here. They have them on draft, and I could try them all. And that's kind of what gave me the inspiration to open up Hopportunities. So probably about 2 weeks after that, when I decided I'm going to go all in on this, I went like manic one weekend. and just looked researching.
Oh my God.
But the hardest part was finding a name, finding a brand, because everything is trademarked, like everything.
In the like there's so much money in beverage and alcohol that I can only imagine.
So this is kind of what
This is cool.
This is kind of how it happened, is spending time on the federal and state databases, finding stuff that I could put together in case this brand ever became a thing. You know, in case I was wanting to scale, and in case I wanted to get bigger and bring this experience to everyone in the state of Florida, everyone across the country. That's where it came up. But yeah, I thought of, you know, I wanted to be almost the anti-bar, the anti-dive bar, light, bright, happy, just be a very inviting place for everyone. And that's when the little hop emoji kind of started. I'm like, what's more fun than a meme or a hop, you know, an emoji? Yeah. So that's kind of how our logo started. Was me. And I should have had my kids draw it up because they probably would have done a much better job at art. But I sent it over to a friend of mine, David Moore, who is a graphic designer. And I said, hey, I want a hop emoji. Can you do this? And he sent me a couple of versions of it. And I think this is the one.
He did a great job.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Kudos to him.
Totally captures this fun,
exactly,
you know, playful vibe. And it's like your brand really does speak a lot about how your business operates, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to be a fun, friendly place. We want to be an inviting place. We don't want to be the place where it's culture. Like, I don't know if I want to walk into there.
Yeah.
We want it to be happy. We want it to be friendly. Like that's my number one goal. I like I tell all my boys, we want to be Beer Disney. You know, regardless of how bad of a day our customers are having, we got our smiles on, and we are going to treat them with the utmost respect and importance, and try to make their day when it comes to having a good craft beer experience.
And I can say, you know, we kind of want to have a similar experience at Media Zone, where like you come in and it's fun. You know, it feels like you're doing an experience. Like
immediately equate to fun?
Always. Yeah, it does. It does.
Especially in South Florida.
Sure. And there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of places to go drink a beer in Palm Beach County. What's your point of difference? And I think you've really nailed it with not only it being fun, but you kind of like give people the way to like build their own path, like to pick the beer, to try this, to try that, where you wouldn't normally like maybe step out of your comfort zone like that and try like a beer. Because, you know, when like a bartender comes up to you, it's your turn. It's sort of like, I mean, we all know you don't bullshit around when the bartender is on with you. It's like order your drink or I'm on to the next person sometimes, because it's just busy, and that's just the nature of the industry.
Sometimes like it can be overwhelming for someone that doesn't drink craft beer to figure out what they want to drink. 100%. So when the bartender comes up to you and you're like, what do you want? Well, I don't know what I want.
Kind of like light beer, you know, or
must be the
White Claw.
I know. So, and that's what's cool about, you know, ordering a flight, but still that is sort of restricted. You're like, this is the flight that you get.
My beef with flights is by the time I get to like the last beer, it's like lukewarm.
Flat.
It's kind of flat. It's kind of stale. It's just, it's not the same experience as
the first one. Yeah, exactly.
So like as a craft beer drinker, I'll make sure I have like a stout or a dark beer at the end that you can kind of drink at room temp and it be better flavorful wise. But for the most part, when you get to that second or third beer, you're mixing all these different flavors.
I'll tell you something that's so cool that I experienced in my travels. I went to Fiji, and it's very tropical in Fiji. And the way that they drink beer there, even at the bar, is that they will order a 40 ounce in glasses, and everyone shares a 40 because it's cheaper, and the next 40 will be cold. Instead of everyone like having like a big beer that gets cold or warm at the bottom. And so it's just funny to hear you say that, and me even like think back to like me just being in shock of like culture beer drinking in another country. I think you'd appreciate
No, for sure.
Nobody wants to drink a warm beer.
No, for the most part, there's not many beers that are meant to be drank that way. So yeah, it's fun. 40. You can't even drink 40s in Florida. I was just thinking, there's a weird Florida law.
Yeah, you can do everything else. Florida man. Yeah. Fill in the blank.
No, absolutely.
So tell us, what's your favorite craft?
Oh, so my favorite. I'm kind of I like I said, I like to try things. So when I think beers, I think breweries.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my favorites. So I'm not showing favoritism to any of my purchases.
Yes.
But some of my favorite breweries are. I got to throw some love to the guys at Invasive Species in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
I can't even get them at my bar, and they're still probably one of my favorite breweries out there. Civil Society up here in Palm Beach County, they do great things. Their IPAs are world famous, and they do really amazing stuff.
I know Abacoa, right?
Yes.
Is there another one, or is that the
one? They
one?
opened up a second location in West Palm Beach, which is like 20 minutes closer to the house, so I'm super happy about
cool.
that.
Convenient.
The guys, if you're ever in Doral, there's a brewery called Tripping Animals Brewery. Those guys, when you talk about experiences, such a huge cultural, like it's a craft culture, and employees are great. The environment's great. You're gonna have a great experience there, and they just make a ton of crazy, weird but great beer. Those guys are up
That's
in
awesome.
Doral, down in Doral. And then the West Coast, we talked about Calusa.
Yeah.
I know that you're from Sarasota. Calusa is probably another one of my fan favorites that I wish I could pour at the bar, but they're so in high demand. It's crazy. You don't think Sarasota is a hustling, bustling craft beer town, but I think they have 80 accounts, and they can barely keep up with those accounts in Sarasota. So they do great beer.
Incredible.
It's home sweet home for us.
I know.
Hop and a skip up the street. We'll have to check it out when we go back.
Definitely. I recommend you do.
Yeah.
So let's take a couple minutes to tell people how we can find you online, and any other people that you want to thank along the way.
Yeah. Our best place right now is social media. Hopportunities FL on Instagram, or Hopportunities on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Our website is Find Your Hoppy Place. We're still under construction, still needs a lot of work done, but there you can at least see our hours, what beers we have on tap. The list of people I need to thank, besides my crew, my staff at the bar, my family, first and foremost, have been super supportive, and they've just picked up a ton of the dad slack while I've been working my butt off. But we have a lot of great partners that I want to make people aware of. Right now, we're working with community greening, so we do want to play an active role in giving back to the community, giving back to the local nonprofits in the area. And right now, our community partners, Community Greening, they plant trees. So we have a specific tap line. If you ever go in the bar and see a green tap handle, that means 20% of the proceeds are going to go to community greening.
Super cool.
And then at the end of we're going to have a ticketed event.
Makes me feel better about drinking. You're like, oh, and I'm also giving back.
Drink a beer, plant a tree.
I'll have another one.
Yeah. Well, one more round.
But keep your eyes out online. We're doing a homebrewers event. So homebrewers, they can't sell their beer, so we're doing a ticketed event for them in May.
Awesome.
Half the proceeds are going to go back to the homebrewers, and the rest, minus glassware cost, is going to go to community greening. So we're hoping to just add some extra support their way.
Super cool.
Now, what if like a business in Palm Beach County said, I want this place for myself for the night? Would you close the doors and do a private thing?
Anything is within the realm of possibility. Yeah. We had a company in there yesterday that did their annual meeting at the bar. So they post-it noted one of our walls, and they were just running through. Like I've legitimately felt like I was in someone's like meeting room, except it was at my bar. It was pretty cool. A couple other bucket list events. If anyone wants to get married at a bar,
hell yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
I want someone to get married there. But yeah, no,
just throwing that out there.
any event, we're open. We're definitely open to. We've had a couple cool events with different networking groups.
Okay.
We had a really great fundraiser for one of my employees. One of his friends was diagnosed with testicular cancer, so we had an event where we were able to raise a bunch of money on his behalf. So it was pretty
good,
cool.
Man. Yeah, it feels good.
It's just do the right thing.
Exactly.
And then hopefully if you do enough good things, karma will come back your way.
That's how we feel about Media Zone as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start the Palm Beach podcast, was to bring in people like you that, you know, are out there in the community, a go-getter that's positive, that's doing things that bring the people together, that make this place a better place to live. And it's inspiring, you know, like just sitting across the table from you for half an hour. Like I also like beer, but I like the story behind the beer too.
Yeah, creating positive environment's pretty cool. You know, at the end of the day, most people when they get that vibe or get that feel that they're in a positive, great space, inviting space, it just makes life a little bit more fun because we go, you know, we have the normal and the abnormal daily doldrums of life, and I feel like positivity is definitely the way to go.
Well, and the word that Mike and I keep coming back to is palpable. When that positivity and that energy is so palpable, you know, it's hard not to spread that.
No, for sure. And it's actually just easy to spread. It's easy to stomach anything. Correct. You know, Correct. It's like it's just semi-delusional, but at the same time, things tend to work out if you just kind of put your head down, stay positive about stuff.
Plus, the body knows the truth.
For sure.
All right.
Well, John, we can't thank you enough for coming on the Palm Beach podcast. You know, this is a new studio. I think you're our third podcast in the new room.
This is so much fun.
So what do you think? This is a cool spot for people to come and record their shows as well?
No, definitely. That's the first thing that ran through my head. I'm like, anyone who wants to do a podcast, wants to do a vlog or a video cast, I don't know. It's a video podcast. This is definitely the spot. They have a nice, cool view out their window over here. The fridge is fully stocked of awesome seltzers. And
hey, we will take a beer sponsor.
No, for sure.
If someone wants to buy this White Claw off the table with their own brand.
Swell. We're talking to you, Swell.
Swell, particularly, yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, I would definitely, that was one of the first things I ran through my head. I'm like, this would be a great spot for anyone who's aspiring to do something that maybe doesn't have the means or doesn't maybe even have the know-how. I'm sure that you guys would be like, hey, listen, here's a little, you can have your pod Sherpas over here as well.
Love it.
Well, and sit down and have a cup of Pump House coffee and let's plan some things out, you know? That's what we want to create, a place here where the environment is conducive to creating content and it's easy for you. What'd you have to do? Walk in and sit down and have a seltzer?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty easy,
that's
right?
Pretty much easy. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for coming in.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, again, thank you very much for your time.
No problem.
Until next time.
Can't wait to be back.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast, brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, Indo Board, and Lotus Trips for travel and retreats to Palm Beach County.